To begin, I really recommend getting a good pair of trail running shoes. These are my Salomon Speedcross 6s. As you can see, they've seen better days. I ran over 14 races in this pair of shoes. I would strongly recommend shoes like this because most Spartan races have very difficult terrain, often water, mud, uphill, downhill, and you really want to get a pair of shoes with a good grip. In this video, we'll be covering the different type of Spartan races, the preparation you should do for it, the equipment that you might need, and of course, all of the obstacles you're expected to face. There are typically 4 Spartan races on the circuit that you'll see: the Spartan Sprint, the Super, the Beast, and the Ultra. The Sprint typically is a 5-kilometer run with 20 plus obstacles, which is basically the best for beginners. As long as you have some basic running ability and some upper body strength, you should be fine to complete this. Super, 10 kilometer, 25 plus obstacles. This requires a bit more running. I recommend a lot more preparation if you're going to do a Super. Beast is over 21 kilometers and has over 30 plus obstacles. This you should be doing at least 3 months preparation beforehand is my bare minimum recommendation. And then for the Ultra, this is basically the full marathon, 60 plus obstacles. This is for the more hardcore. I really recommend to anybody, if you're going to do a Spartan race, start with the Sprint, then do the Super, then do the Beast, work your way up like you would with any other fitness task. In terms of preparation, let's keep this simple. First of all, running will obviously help you. There's a lot of running in Spartan races. You can walk them if you wish, especially for the hills. But if you want a good time and you want to feel good about yourself, I really recommend getting some cardio in prior in your preparation. So look at doing runs, doing hill sprints, and just get used to running at least once, twice a week. Build up your cardiovascular strength. Now, as you might know, Spartan races have obstacles, and this is where you need to work on other parts of your body. It's one of the cool things about Spartan races is that you're not just working your legs, you're working everything. This is why Spartan races are way more fun, in my opinion, than marathons and other fitness activities. If you do a Spartan race, you're training everything. And this is where strength comes in. So I really recommend doing pull-ups. Pull-ups are basically your best friends here. Most obstacles are easier if you can lift your own body weight. There's obviously technique to be talked about, which we'll talk about later in this video. But ultimately, if you have good body strength, you'll be able to finish the majority of the obstacles. Therefore, pull-ups, try and do them every day if you can. Find a pull-up bar in your gym or have one at home or in your local park. Try and just get volume in. Get used to doing 5 a day, for example. Once you do 5 easily, do 6. Once you do 6 easily, do 7. And at the gym, at least once a week, I recommend trying to do max pull-ups. Do as many as you can in one sitting. This will build up your upper body strength and your ability to lift yourself up. You can then start experimenting with wide arm pull-ups if you wish, and you can also start experimenting with muscle-ups if you are at that level. Outside of pull-ups, you may also want to look at gymnastic rings. These are another fantastic way to increase your upper body strength. We'll be covering this a bit later, but keep in mind the rope climb is a very common obstacle faced in Spartan races. It is a form of upper body strength, so if your gym has a rope climb, I recommend trying it. Also, don't overthink it. If your upper body strength is good enough, you can get away with poor technique in nearly all of the obstacles. But obviously, the better your technique, the better. The last part of preparation is mindset. Think of Spartan races as something that's designed to break you. You will be running during a race, you're feeling good about yourself, and suddenly there's an obstacle that comes up around the corner. It is hard, you're exhausted after doing it, and then another obstacle comes. And then this obstacle, you fail. You have to do the penalty, you have to do 30 burpees, and by the end of it, you are knackered. You're wet, you're tired, and it's starting to rain more, and it can get very tough on your mind. You can very quickly go from a positive state of mind to feeling like you're going to fail or you have to give up. Therefore, mindset is very important. My recommendation would be to obviously get into meditation, journaling, and just look at improving your mental health. The better your mental health is, the better your brain works, the better you will do in a Spartan race. Meditation in particular is very good for mindfulness, getting away from negative thoughts and negative talk, and this will really help you out. And just to give you a bit of extra motivation actually, I once ran a Spartan Beast with a friend of mine, and he was sick that morning. He had a stomach bug, so he was puking up before the race even began. But he refused to give up. We ran the race together, we were slow, but he finished the race. He'd puked up 40 times. He was constantly puking up, but he still finished the race. I've also seen a guy with one leg finish a Spartan race. I've seen a man with no arms finish a Spartan race. In short, you are more than capable of doing it regardless of your physical ailment. You'd be amazed what you can do with the right mindset. When it comes to gear, as mentioned earlier, trail shoes are essential. Get shoes with good grip, ideally waterproof. And on top of this, I really recommend having long socks. The main reason for this is to protect your legs from rope burn, which might happen on some of the obstacles. Obvious advice is to dress for the weather. I remember one time I did the Spartan race, it was somewhat September-ish. I thought it wouldn't be that cold, but my goodness, it was raining, it was hailing, and I just went out in a t-shirt and shorts, and I was absolutely freezing. By the time I finished the race, I had to go in my car, and I was jackhammering for 10 minutes non-stop. I could have really done with a light waterproof jacket. So just make sure you do have some extras available. In terms of bags, I don't typically recommend carrying too much. Keep yourself light, but you may want to consider a camel pack with some liquids, especially for Spartan Beast, and potentially some small snacks, some nuts, some gels. However, keep in mind most Spartan races do have drop-off points, they have water points, but not as many as you might think. So these are okay. I think they're recommended generally for super and above. Definitely for Beast and for Ultra, you probably want a camel pack. For Sprint, probably not needed in my opinion. Whenever you go to Spartan Race, they do have a check-in area for bags. So don't worry about bringing all this stuff where you're going to leave it. You go into the race area and they'll have an area just like at a festival where you can check in your bag, you give them a number, and they look after it. Therefore, it's okay to put your phone in the bag, put all your belongings, and it'll be safe at the place, and you can just worry about the race. And if you're wondering how I got all this footage, I did it with a GoPro with a chest strap. So I recommend the chest strap over the head strap. It just looks a bit cooler, you see a bit more of the arms, but you can also try and get the head strap as well. Regarding gloves, I generally recommend to not wear gloves during a Spartan race. My experience with gloves, I've probably tried 5, 6 different pairs, and they always just seem to get soaking wet. They cause me more trouble than they actually help. If it's very cold, you may want to have a pair of gloves, but I would probably recommend in most cases to take them off before doing the upper body obstacles. If you find a pair of gloves that you really trust, that really work for you, let me know in the comments, but today I've never found any that were satisfactory for me. I'm going to share some quick tips and tricks before going into the obstacles. So first of all, when it comes to barbed wire, I recommend a technique called rolling. So you see a lot of people doing crawls through the barbed wire, but it's very slow, it's not very efficient. It's also not as fun. So rolling is basically where you just put yourself sideways and you just roll all the way up and down, and it's very quick. It gets you underneath the barbed wire a lot easier. You got to just do it slowly. So just always go slowly and just make sure you're careful with your eyes. Be super careful with barbed wire. But I found this to be a fairly safe technique. It's faster, it takes less energy, and you just got to make sure that you're just going slowly enough that you know where the barbed wire is. But I do this in all races. It's a very common technique used by the pros as well. The next bit of advice is before any obstacle, what I would recommend is you stop, you pause, you take at least 3 breaths before doing the obstacle. A lot of people go to the obstacle, they rush into it and they fail because they hadn't recovered, hadn't let their heartbeat come back. So a minimum 3 breaths, maybe longer. Another quick advice around this as well is to just see the people ahead of you. If you see somebody who's completed the obstacle, see what technique they used. Typically, especially if it's your first race, second race, you can learn a lot from people in front of you. Don't allow it to demoralize you. Don't think, oh, I can't do what they did. You'd be super surprised what you're capable of. So watching other people ahead of you, especially those who've been successful, is just a quick little trick to help you maybe understand if it's a trick or some technique that you need to know. And this seems silly, but just always remember to hit the bell with your hand, not your foot. I once thought I was being a smart ass and I kicked the bell like kung fu kick, and it actually resulted in me having to do a penalty. So just always use your hands to hit the bell at the end of the obstacle. I'm going to try and cover as many obstacles as I can in this video, but keep in mind every race is different, there's many different countries, and there's always new obstacles being added, so I may not be able to cover every single thing you may face. During each race, there is a number of failable obstacles. This can be from 10 to 20. What this means is if you fail the obstacle, then you have to do a penalty instead. So for example, you do the monkey bars and you fail it, or the rope climb, then you have to do the penalty. The penalty historically used to always be 30 burpees, which if you fail, let's say 10 obstacles, is a lot. However, more recent races, they've been a bit more chill on this. Sometimes the penalty is just an extra run. Either way, this is the result of what can happen. In an ideal world, you don't want to fail any obstacles, therefore not having to do any penalties. It saves you time, saves you energy. But if you're a beginner, just accept that this will probably not happen. The first obstacle that you'll see is the wall. All you have to do is jump, get your arms over and pull yourself up. Next up is the bucket carry, where you basically have to carry a bucket that's full of gravel. It's heavy, it's a bit of a pain. What I recommend is having it on your shoulder. Some people like to have it behind their head, but I recommend just putting it on the shoulder and switching if it gets uncomfortable. Next is the balance walk. This is easy for some, very hard for others, like me. What I recommend, just be careful to start slowly, i.e. don't just rush into this. Take some deep breaths, focus ahead, look at the end, don't look down. And if you want to practice beforehand, I really recommend getting to slacklining. So there's lots of ways to practice balance, but in the race, clean your shoes, look straight ahead, and be aggressive with them first few steps, and you should be okay. Next is monkey bars. These are generally quite easy, I'd say. They're a very common obstacle to face. The first bar can be quite daunting. It looks quite far away, but once you're actually on it, you'll realize it's not so difficult. Technique here is just put one arm to the next bar, bring the other arm, and then move onto the next arm to the next bar. Basically, tap, 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 tap. This is the way I'd think of it in my head. The Atlas carry can be a bit daunting, but again, it's not actually as bad as it looks. All you have to do is get nice and low with your legs, don't bend your back, and grip with your hands both around it, and lift the ball to your waist. Just remember, this is like a deadlift or a squat. Try to keep your back straight and just got to waddle your way there and back. The sled pull is fairly self-explanatory. Just use your body weight to pull it towards you and go bit by bit. The spear throw is one of the hardest challenges to face. I failed it many times, and the best advice I can give you is, first of all, keep an eye on the target all the way through. Make sure your follow through is very clean, and do not change your vision away from the target. Do not look away until it's hit the target. In addition to this, I really recommend make sure the string that's around the spear is well clear of your body. Many times I've failed because it was wrapped around my legs and I didn't realize. Just make sure it's out of the way, that nothing's gonna obstruct it. The climbing wall. One of these ones that's a lot easier than it looks. My advice on this one is just to take it slowly. Keep calm, breathe, and just, if you're not comfortable, go back to your last position and find a new grip. The easiest way to fail is just to rush through, get panicked. You really just want to, when you go around a corner, just feel around until you feel a solid grip and then make your move. There will always be a grip for you to grab onto when you go around a corner. So do not panic, just take your time, and if you do this slowly and surely, you will complete this challenge. Hercules hoist is very common. It does require have some good upper body strength and back strength, but ultimately you just need to leverage your legs. I recommend putting them up against the scaffolding and pull with as much of your weight as possible. One thing to be careful of is once it gets to the top, you need to lower it slowly. So just keep this in mind, don't let it drop. It could sometimes result in a penalty. So get it to the top and then slowly release for safety reasons, but also to avoid the penalty. For rings, there are two ways to do it. One is you go like a monkey. So you go one arm and extend to the next, and then hold with the next arm and extend to the next. Use your momentum in a very sort of cool and comfortable fashion to glide your way forward. The less elegant, but perhaps safer way to do it, if you're more like me, is to bring both arms to the same ring and then pull your one arm to the next ring, bring both arms together again, and just go one at a time. Doesn't look as sexy, but it's what I often do just to make sure I don't fail the obstacle. The key to the rope climb is to make sure your feet are in the right position. So you want them to be wrapped around the rope. You'll know if you've done it right if there's tension. and you feel you're not moving down. After this, just pull yourself up and then reapply your legs. And if you do so in a slow, methodical way, you'll get up the rope sooner than you realize. My next bit of advice is always look up, never look down. Keep going and you'll be eventually close to top. One other advice I give is just make sure you're really close to the bell before you hit it. What some people do is they see the bell, they panic, they try and hit it, and then they lose grip, then they fail the obstacle. Just get super close. Even if you think you can hit the bell, just be really careful. Just go as far as you can, and then it's a little tap and you've completed the obstacle, and then obviously get yourself carefully down the rope not to hurt yourself. The multi-rig is one of the harder obstacles that are out there. There are many different variations of it, so it depends case by case. You might look at the first part and think it looks impossible, but just trust me, all you got to do is just shuffle yourself across. You need a bit of upper body strength to do this, but it isn't as bad as it looks. And then once you're onto the rings, it's just the same technique as we talked about the rings earlier before. If you ever get in a situation where you're stuck on a ring, you start spinning, you just have to try and keep calm, try and get out the spin, and then get back to using your momentum in your favor. The bender is a very common obstacle here. All you want to do is just want to jump up and try and grab onto the second bar if you can, and then use your body to get yourself up to the third bar, and then use your legs and swing them up onto the first bar. Once your legs are onto the first bar, the rest is fairly simple. You just got to climb yourself over and then hang and drop down. Honestly, this one is just monkey bars. It just looks hard, but it is very similar. You just got to trust your body, go one bar at a time. And if you are in trouble, use a bit of momentum. You can even swing backwards a little bit to get some momentum so you can get to the next bar. The traverse is a tricky one. Key thing here is just remember having long socks so you can wrap your legs around it without burning your skin. It's a case of cardio and good upper body strength. If you have it, you'll be okay. The slip wall, simply just run up and grab the rope, and then you can kind of pull yourself up with your hands to get up to the wall. If you're towards the end of the race and you're very tired, it can be difficult due to lactic acid, but ultimately, just when you climb over, be careful and you should be fine. I hope this video has been useful to you. Write in the comments any thoughts that you have and any tips that you may have. And just the last thing I want to say is just remember that if you've finished the Spartan race, you've beat every single person who didn't turn up. It's a great thing to be doing. Do more of them. Get your friends involved. It's a fantastic way to push yourself both mentally and physically.